Hi everybody, I'm Julie Kerr, writer and director of the indie nerdy comedy Geek Loves Punk. If you want to know more about me, you can check out my website. I noticed on my YouTube channel and on my podcast that one of my videos slowly caught the algorithm slowly, and it's called the Clobber Passages. So I'm going to do a revisitation, and the other thing is that video is like an hour and a half. It's so long, so I'm gonna try to keep this short and sweet. But yeah, and I know this is like a serious topic, but I noticed, like I said, it caught the algorithm on YouTube slowly, and it caught the algorithm on my podcast. It's actually one of my most listened to podcasts. So, and what I want to say is, I don't know if it's the algorithm doesn't tell me this. It doesn't need to tell me this, but I don't know if it's like straight people watching my video or LGBTQ people watching my video. In case it's LGBTQ people watching my video, I want to revisit the topic. So full disclosure, I happen to be a lesbian. I mean, yeah, gay pride for sure. And then sometimes the dating scene, whatever. Alright, so, full disclosure, I happen to be a lesbian, it's all good. I was in love with a woman, my girlfriend, we broke up, it happens, la la la. Okay, alright, and I've dated women and la la la, okay. So, what I want to say is, yes, this video, full disclosure, this video will be in support of LGBTQ people, full disclosure. So I just want to warn you, this video is going to be gay friendly. So yeah, so if there's homophobic straight people watching this video, you're not going to like the video. You're not going to like it. Yeah, and then talking about this stuff can make me nervous and la la la, but I'm doing this for the LGBTQ people mainly. Okay, and then on my video about the Clobber Passages, someone left a comment, and that person's name was, I'm gonna say nice things about this person. That person's name was, oh, and I hope I say your name right, but that person's name was Gabriel Ayodele Odiron. I hope I said that right. Great name. What an awesome name. So I'll just say Gabriel. Okay, the first thing I want to say that I'm super impressed with is Gabriel, he was so sweet. His comment on my YouTube video was so sweet. I was blown away by the sweetness, the communication styles, his communication skills. Also, Gabriel, I think you were so sweet in your comment. You were afraid to say what you, I think what you wanted me to do is you wanted me to re-examine the Clobber Passages and take another look at it. Yeah, so I guess I want to thank Gabriel for just being so kind in your comments. You were so sweet in your comments. To the extent, like I said, I don't think you actually said what you sort of wanted to say. I've made tons of videos about being gay, and I tried to pray away the gay from ages 12 to 19, and all that stuff. And then I felt God wanted me to be gay, so I've made a lot of videos about that, and I can link to all those down below. So if people are wondering what the Clobber Passages are, the Clobber Passages are, there's 6 to 7 Bible verses that maybe sort of kind of reference homosexuality, but not really. But unfortunately though, there's a certain kind of mean, that's a good fate. There's a certain kind of really mean Christian, who uses the Clobber Passages to be really mean and homophobic to LGBTQ people. And I want to say that really, really sucks. That sucks. That's the worst. That's bad. Because it's only 6 or 7 verses that maybe address LGBTQ, like gay people, but not really. Okay, so yeah, so the six or seven Clobber passages are about, they kind of reference homosexuality, but not really. So the idea is, if you do just like a little bit of research, there's a lot of books about this that talk about, like, if you really want to like go into the Bible verses. I did that. Oh man, I did that in my first video. That's why it's an hour and a half long. So if you really want to go into the Bible passages and like try to, just saying the sentence is exhausting, but if you go into like the Bible passages, like, and you scratch the surface, like, basically they had no concept of sexual orientation when the Bible was written. So yeah, I'll use my blog. Basically, like, the Bible was written in like ancient Greek, ancient Hebrew, and like in an ancient, I believe, Syrian language. So it was written like years and years and years ago. It was written in a language that wasn't English. So I mean, those languages are beautiful. Okay, but what happened was, like, it was basically written in language, and then it's a really long game of telephone. It's all about interpretation. And then when the Bible was written, they had no concept of sexual orientation, like the idea that, like, to quote Lady Gaga, you're born this way, that kind of thing. So, like, yeah. So the first thing I want to say is, like, the reason why I'm okay with like addressing this is because, like, I'm a little on the fence, because like I'm at a place where I don't know if I can like defend Christianity anymore, because like just there are like mean people who use Christianity to be like so horrible. But what I do want to say is, like, I just want to recommend a book. This is Walking the Bridgeless Canyon: Repairing the Breach Between the Church and the LGBT Community. And it's an examination of the historical, cultural, psychological, medical, social, and religious lenses through which LGBT people have been viewed, with solutions to resolve decades of distortion. Not just decades, but basically, her name is Kathy Baldock. I really like this book. So basically, and fully indexed. So basically, she's a, there she is. Yeah, okay. She was like, or still is, but she was like a white Christian evangelical straight lady, and she starts going hiking. This is a true story. And while she's hiking, she meets a new friend. True story. Her new friend is a lesbian who's Native American. They both love hiking in nature, and it is a very spiritual thing to do. They become really good friends. They go on have these really long talks, and then all of a sudden, Kathy's like, homophobia is awful, which it is. And Kathy's like, it's the worst. It is. And so Kathy decides to write this book all about the history of Christians being mean to LGBTQ people. And then she goes into the Clobber Passages, the passages that kind of talk about homosexuality, but not really. It's a really good book. This is my favorite book that deals with the Clobber Passages, because it comes from such a special place. Like, she met a really cool friend who was of a different religion, different race, different sexual orientation, and they both really love hiking. And through that, she was like, no, homophobia is like the worst, which it is. So it's a really good book. That's what I recommend. I'll link to the link below. Yeah, so like I said, like the Clobber Passages, there's about 6 or 7 passages, but like it's very flimsy as to if they're really talking about like LGBTQ people as we know it today in 2022. So like are they talking about like two people who just want to like be together, or whatever. So the other ones, like the 3 verses in the New Testament, it's like Paul said them. Paul had a lot of hang-ups. Paul was really cool, but like if you research the Bible, he had a lot of hang-ups. So if it was Paul who maybe said stuff about gay people, but even then when the Bible was written, they didn't have that word. So it's just like, it's just like a really mean game of like telephone, the game telephone, but it's just like people, it's just so like, if you read the book, it's so flimsy. It's so flimsy to use these like 6 or 7 verses to just as an excuse to just be mean and horrible. And so I'll link below to like, it's flimsy. It's also odd. So, but I've talked about it before, my journey, and I want to say on in my case, since I'm gay, like I've always felt God saying like, hey, it's okay to be gay. Like, don't worry about it. And I remember praying like to God, because I grew up going to church, and I went to a summer camp. My mom signed me up for a summer camp. I was about 12 or 13, and that's when in my belief system, I first felt the presence of God. And I remember then later that year in school, I started getting crushes on girls, like romantic crushes. And I remember praying to God. I was like, oh, like, I think I might be gay, and I think the Bible says it's bad. And I remember feeling the presence of God saying, like, does the Bible say that? Okay. So, and the other thing I want to say, I get it if you're talking about religion or spirituality, like, it can freak people out, but like, in so many different ways for so many different reasons. But for me, when I feel the presence of God, I don't hear voices or anything like that. I just feel the feeling of being overwhelmingly loved. But having said that, yeah, I believe that God exists and that God loves LGBTQ people. Because I grew up Baptist, like, yeah, I believe in Jesus and Christian theology, that kind of thing. You know, that Jesus died on the cross for our sins and blah, blah, blah. But I also want to say, I will be only addressing Christianity because that's the religion I grew up in, and that's all I feel comfortable addressing. But I'm super, super friendly to people of all religious expressions, because I have friends who grew up traditionally Hindu and Buddhist and Muslim. So I'm extremely, like, supportive of positive expressions of religion and spirituality, whatever that is for you. I want to say that too. Okay. So yeah, it's hard to talk about this stuff. It's really heavy. You know, I'm not like a theologian or whatever, but I do, you know, Gabriel left such a nice comment. So I thought I'd redress these because, like I said, podcasts and my YouTube video, it has like so many views. Yeah, so if you want me to go through the verses, I'll just link to the video below. But the biggest thing I want to say is it's very flimsy. Look how thick this book is, where she also goes into the verses and explains, like, basically you really, it's very flimsy as to whether you interpret these Bible verses as condemning homosexuality. To take that stance is, does the Bible actually condemn homosexuality? I don't know about all that. Because it's like, if you actually do a little bit of research, which I have, it's like, okay, so you can use these Bible verses as an excuse to be really homophobic if that's what you want to do, but you're being an asshole. And so, and you're being mean to a group of people that, like, I don't know, that have to go through a lot, you know, so as someone who's gay. So it's like, who finds the current dating scene a little frustrating. So, but also I love gay people because, you know, I love gay people, and I am gay. But, yeah, so, so my 2 cents is to any LGBTQ people watching, like, if you decide to do some research and you go into the Bible verses, I mean, with all of them, none of them are actually condemning, in my opinion, in my interpretation, like, what we understand sexual orientation to be in 2022. Okay, so with that, you can link to the books below and talk, or the video I made, which is like an hour and a half. It's a long video. Okay, so let me say this in a nutshell. I'm using my blog as notes. Okay, so the Bible's super awesome. Oh, that's the other thing I want to say. Okay, so, like, for sure people can be like, you know, fuck religion, man, it's stupid. And people who take that stance, I totally respect that. But for me, like, there's a really cool, he's gay and he's he happens to be Christian. His name is Mel White, and he's been yeah, I get it. He tried to, these days, it's kind of hard to defend Christianity, but, okay. So what I wanted to say was, like, yeah, like, I still identify as a Christian. I don't shout it from the rooftops because, like, there's a stereotype in the gay community or in general that Christians can be assholes. So I don't usually tell people that I happen to be a Christian. But, yeah, I just happen to be Christian. It works for me. I'm also a lesbian. Well, I wish that was working better for me. But as far as, well, I got... And anyway, I had 2 women who were interested in me. About a month ago, one woman was into me, and about a couple weeks ago, another woman was into me. But both women, it wouldn't have been a good idea. Okay, so anyway, but my point is that, oh, right, okay. The reason why I feel okay, like, making these videos is because, like, I have a Jesus action figure, right? So that's the Jesus action figure that my friend gave me. My queer, non-Christian friend gave me this action figure, and she was just like, you know, Julie, you know how you're, like, overall a pretty good person, and, like, you're into the whole Jesus thing, like, I'm gonna give you an action figure. So, yeah, she was just being supportive of the fact that I happen to be a Christian. Still, it's not a big deal. Okay. So yeah, this is my Jesus action figure. So I'm cool with Jesus. Jesus is cool. Yeah, and this is, like, my Bible. I'm cool with the Bible too. Like, I'm not mad at the Bible. I'm not mad at Jesus. You can see, like, I read the Bible on a regular basis. Yeah, you can see, like, highlights where I've highlighted the Bible, and this is my favorite Bible. See, where I've taken notes and that kind of thing. So you see where I've highlighted, and yeah, okay. So, like, yeah, like, I'm not mad at the Bible. That's the Bible. I'm not mad at, sorry, Jesus. That's my Jesus action figure. Okay, so I'm not mad at the Bible or Jesus, but I don't like it. I'll put a thing below. I don't like it when people are mean. I don't like it when people are assholes in general. So I don't like it when people are mean to other people for various reasons. So I think if you're using the Bible or Jesus as an excuse to be really mean and shitty to people, I think you've completely missed the point of just being alive. Just being a person. The point of being a person is to be kind to yourself and to be kind to others. But I think that's why there can be a negative stereotype of Christians, because it's like, you know, the stereotype is that they're judgmental in general, not even judgmental towards gay people, just judgmental in general, that they're not nice, that mainly those two, that they're really judgmental, or they don't always understand, like, the nuance of life, because life can be very painful and all those kind of things. So, having said that, okay, so the first thing I said on my blog is the Bible is awesome and should be read with an open heart for sure, but also with critical thinking skills. So one Bible study I participated in, really great church called Lakeshore Avenue Baptist Church in Oakland, California. They're for sure gay affirming. They've been gay affirming since the 1990s, so they're awesome. Okay, as in they don't believe that homosexuality is a sin. They don't believe that the Bible condemns homosexuality. It's a great church, and they give really good sermons. Yes, when I used to go to Bible study there, one thing they would do whenever we'd go over scripture, they'd always talk about the context of what was happening during that scripture. So they just always dug really deep when it came to scripture and religion. They dug really, really deep, which was cool. It was good to get context on what was happening at the time that those verses were written. It was just really cool. Like, they were smart, basically, is what I'm trying to say. People at Lakeshore Avenue Avenue Baptist Church, they're really intelligent. They're really smart, and I really like that. Okay, so yeah, so you do have to read the Bible with critical thinking skills, because, like, there's beautiful poetry in the Bible. There's amazing stuff in the Bible, but there's also just weird stuff in the Bible. There's this sitcom called 30 Rock. It's a really good sitcom, but there's this part where Liz Lemon, she gets up in church and she's starting to read, like, the really beautiful poetry of the Bible. And then, because it's a sitcom and it's situational comedy, something happens and her coworker is like, stall. So she starts flipping through the Bible and like reading random stuff from the Bible. And she's reading like some of the more like, not gonna lie, some of the stuff in the Bible that's kind of creepy or like kind of hard to understand. And she's like, and it's inappropriate to say at a wedding in church. And she's like, ugh. So, and I think they play the joke 3 times, so she flips through the Bible again. She says something from the Bible that's inappropriate to say at a wedding. Then she flips through it again. She looks at the Bible. She says something else from the Bible that's inappropriate to say at the wedding. And then the joke is, she's like, come on, Bible, help me out. So that's kind of an example where if you're going to read the Bible, you have to use open heart. Yeah, have your heart open, but also use your critical thinking skills. By the way, that's a Bible verse. Be as smart as a snake and be as harmless as a dove. That's Matthew 10:16. So it's like you have to use your critical thinking skills when you're reading the Bible, because it was written thousands of years or a long time ago. And there's really great stuff in the Bible. There's a Bible verse that says in Psalms that you shouldn't give out loans with interest. And I mean, that's, to me, you could use that to say, hey, the student loan industry is very predatory and horrible, which I saw a documentary about it recently, and it is pretty predatory. But okay, so there, that's, I guess what I'm trying to say with that is there's things in the Bible you could use to like really push, progressive stuff, like, but anyway, that was sort of political, but I'm not here to debate politics. Okay, so yeah, it is my belief system that people should only use the Bible as inspiration to be kind and loving to themselves and others. So here's what I'm trying to say is, I don't want to be around assholes. Like, I don't want to do it. And so I don't care what sexual orientation someone is. I don't want to spend time with assholes one way or another. So if someone's using the Bible as an excuse to be really mean, like, I don't want to be around that person. That person's just sadistic, and they just want to use the Bible as an excuse to be really sadistic. And who wants to be around people like that, Okay. The other thing I say in the blog is the history of how the word homosexual made its way into the Bible is pretty messed up and cruel. Yeah, it is kind of messed up. Okay, as far as the English word homosexual, it's kind of debated as to when that actual word, I guess I'll put it here, when that actual word got put into the Bible. That's what's debatable, because I love this book, and here's a picture. I told y'all already, her hiking buddy. Okay, so in this book, she goes into the history. I think there might be a documentary too, but as far as the word homosexual, she goes into the history of when it got put in the Bible, like legit. And like, there's one instance that where she did a research where it was like the 1930s or the 1940s, somewhere around there, where someone at one of the Ivy League schools was doing a translation of the Bible. And by the way, there's like King James version, there's like other versions, but there's tons of versions of the Bible too, just for the what's in English. So anyways, there's someone at an Ivy League school who was like doing a new translation of the Bible, and there's this ancient word that's for like a same-sex. No, there's this ancient word for a sex worker, basically, and it's the kind of sex worker that provides services to, all the genders, male, female, everybody. But it was a word for literally a sex worker, no judgments towards sex workers, but it was literally the ancient word for a sex worker, basically. Okay. So fast forward to like the 1940s, and like there's a minister who's translating the Bible, and he's deciding, he's deciding, how am I going to translate that? I'm going to translate that as the word homosexual. And he put it in the Bible. That is awful. That's awful. Okay, and then if you want the tea, according to this book, a minister who happened to be also gay, he wrote a letter. he reached out. He's like, please don't translate this word as homosexual. Please don't do this. You're going to hurt so many people if you do this. And, you know, the person translating was, I guess, a mean straight person. And they're like, meh, and they put it in, which is awful because, like, you know, there's some LGBTQ people who come out of religion, and I mean, that led to people who commit suicide, and it just led to so much pain and suffering and meanness. And it's like, that wasn't the point of Jesus's message. So the reason why my queer friend, who's not even Christian, my queer friend who gave me a Jesus action figure, she's like, you know, you're really kind and loving and awesome. And I don't know, it was funny. It was so funny when I opened my birthday present. It was for my birthday a long time ago, and it was a Jesus action figure. It was so cute. It was her supporting the fact that I happen to be a Christian. Okay, but it's hard. It's so hard. I can't defend Christianity these days. It's hard to defend it, and I can't defend it. But I'm just saying, for me, I'm still cool with Jesus. It's just the Christians. I believe it was Gandhi that said, you Christians are so unlike your Christ. Yeah. Okay, so, okay. And I know, like, Gandhi wasn't perfect, but he used nonviolence to help India. So, I mean, he did good stuff. So, okay. So yeah, the history of how the word, like, homosexual made its way into the Bible is pretty messed up and cruel. And even in the New Testament, when it's still iffy. It's so iffy. But even where Paul he didn't say the word homosexual, but even Paul, who might have brought up homosexuality, he brought it up like 3 times, maybe, kind of, maybe-ish. But it was Paul, it wasn't Jesus, like... Paul's very second fiddle to Jesus in Christianity. No offense to Paul. Paul's great, but, like, come on, it's Paul. I mean, Paul's cool, but, like, you're going to listen to Paul over Jesus? Okay, and this is where, yeah, to me, the point of Christianity isn't to debate poetry, but to amplify love, and love is all that matters, and I made a very short video about that. But, yeah, here's what I want to say, and this might seem controversial, but I hope it's not controversial, because, like I said, like, I like the Bible. I actually still identify as a devout Christian, but I don't, yeah, I'm worried when I make these videos that it's gonna hurt my dating life. No, it won't, because one of the hottest couples I know, lesbian couples, they both go to church, but, like, I don't have to date someone who goes to church. Okay, and they don't, I'll totally date lesbian, bisexual, queer, all the words for women who sometimes date women. You know, it's all good. It's all good. Julie's friendly to everybody. Okay, I used to live in a Catholic community, but I grew up Baptist, and you know, all of the people we were all in a house in West Oakland, and one of my roommates, she went to Harvard for, like, to study religion stuff. And she said, I don't know the words, but she said, one thing she said, and I say this with love, she said, everything in the Bible is true and some of it actually happened. So that might be thought of as controversial, but my favorite book in the Bible is Job, and it's all about, like, suffering and human suffering, and I don't know, it's always been my favorite book in the Bible. And the thing about it is, like, when it comes to the book of Job, like, there might have been a guy named Job, and all that happened to him might have happened, but also they're saying that maybe Job is, like, a parable, and, like, a parable to help explain human suffering. Because what happens is, the reason why I like Job is Job goes through, like, a lot of bad stuff, and then at the end of the day, he still remains, like, an optimist. He still believes in love and good things. So that's what I like about Job. All the suffering he goes through, it doesn't, excuse my language, but it doesn't turn him into an asshole. It just doesn't, and I like that. So that's what I like about Job. And then at the end of the story, he ends up okay. Like, he loses everything, but then he gets everything back, so to speak. So I'm oversimplifying, but it's hard to talk about the Bible. Okay, the other thing I want to say is I went to another church. I've done a lot of church shopping. I went to another church which said science is a recipe. Okay, let's say you have a bowl of soup. Okay, science is a recipe for soup. Science tells you how to make the soup. You're going to make like a really good bowl of soup. And this is a metaphor, but science is a recipe for soup, and religion is poetry about soup. And they're both right at the same time. I really like that because it's like, yeah, science kind of tells us how things work. And then religion or art or the good stuff in life teaches you, like to me, because I'm a writer and I have an English degree and a college degree, like, man, if we didn't have poetry or songs or music or art, like, man, what a sad world we would be in. But also, if we didn't have science, the world would be sad too, because we need psychology and we need all the sciences as well. And so I think, like, people have questions, but we all have questions about life, like, why is life hard sometimes? Why does it hurt sometimes? That kind of thing. But I like the idea that, like, what religion, if we're saying positive expressions of religion and spirituality, what it's trying to answer is, like, you know, why are we alive? Why are we here? And like I said, we're here to amplify love. So if someone's using the Bible as an excuse to be really mean, I don't respect that person at all. And that's not why I have a Jesus action figure. I don't believe in a mean God or a homophobic God. I don't believe in a mean Jesus or a homophobic Jesus. I don't believe in those things. So I'm not going to respect someone who's mean in any way. So anyway, okay. I got lucky because I went to a small town Baptist church, so I got a pretty positive depiction of Christianity overall. And I did grow up in an abusive home, and my dad was an asshole. But I always had Jesus, you know, to pray to and to help me get through it. So that's why I'm so Christian. And then I was always like a tomboy. Like, I played softball, and I was always wearing a ball cap. And I didn't like wearing dresses. But although these days I'll wear a dress every once in a while, so like at a wedding or something. But when I was a kid, like, you know, so. And I guess what the people at my church would say, I remember this, they'd say, well, that's Julie. That's what they would say. As far as, like, toys, they meant it supportive. Like, I always had G.I. Joes. This is just me. There's all kinds of lesbians. There are femi lesbians or queer ladies. So it's not to say, like, there's a million ways to be a queer lady. But I'm just saying, for me, that, you know, I really like playing softball. I always had a ball cap on. I was just very like a tomboy, and the church was always so supportive of that. I really like G.I. Joes versus like Barbie, that kind of thing. Like, I always had action figures. So and the church was always so supportive of those kind of things. They would always say, like, well, that's Julie, and they meant it in like a very supportive, loving way. You know, that's Julie, the lesbian. They didn't say that, but they did say that's Julie, and they were always very kind and loving and caring and awesome. So I got lucky. Okay, I didn't really necessarily. I've never had too many negative experiences, ironically, with churches until 2 years ago, and then I did have a negative experience with church, but I forgive them. I just moved on to a different church. Okay. Okay, the other thing I want to say, I'm going to put a big picture, is I do believe in a kind and loving God who's not homophobic at all. That's what I believe. And so did Desmond Tutu, so I'm going to put his picture up here. He has such a lovable, amazing face. He unfortunately passed away, but I'll link below. Desmond Tutu is one of the coolest ministers who ever existed, like, ever. Desmond Tutu was the Batman, the Superman, the Iron Man. He was the coolest minister we've ever had, like, ever. And he fought for LGBTQ rights. So the link I'm gonna put below is Desmond Tutu's long history of fighting for lesbian and gay rights. And bisexuals, and, you know, the whole umbrella term. But, like, Desmond Tutu is one of the coolest ministers, like, ever. Like, ever. And I've listened to Desmond Tutu. He wrote a book with the Dalai Lama about, I think it's about joy or something. I'll put, it's been a while, but I listened to it on Audible. I'll put a link below. He wrote an amazing book on forgiveness. I also listened to that on Audible. So like Desmond Tutu is one of the, and side note, in one of the books I read, he really liked ice cream. Just that's just delightful. So I'll put the picture should already be up, but Desmond Tutu is one of the greatest, most awesome, most fantastic, most amazing ministers we've ever had. So like I can't defend Christianity because unfortunately sometimes there's a certain kind of Christian who's mean, but oh man, did Desmond Tutu make it okay to like be a Christian? Because like Desmond Tutu is like one of the coolest. He's just one of the coolest ministers we've ever had. And he fought for LGBTQ rights for a really long time. He was a straight guy. I've listened to 2 of his books though, and he was absolutely fantastic. So just want to say he was cool. Like he was really, really cool. And he fought for LGBTQ rights. He said it. He's like, I'm not going to I don't believe in a homophobic heaven. I don't believe in a homophobic God. And I just want to say this. So if you're LGBTQ and you're dealing with some homophobic minister, like there's no way your homophobic minister is as cool as Desmond Tutu. Desmond Tutu is one of the coolest ministers we've ever had as far as Christianity goes, like ever. And he was for LGBTQ rights. So yeah, I don't interpret the Bible as condemning homosexuality. I totally think it's okay to be LGBTQ. That's my 2 cents. I just think always be kind, like always, to yourself and others. Always. That's the point of being alive, period. So yeah, the Dalai Lama said, and I love this, the Dalai Lama is a Buddhist leader. I mean, but he said, I know I'm oversimplifying, but he said, my religion is kindness, and I love that. Now, actually, his religion is Buddhism, but what he means is, and I love it, like, I agree with this. What's the point of being alive? It's to amplify love and be kind. That's it. So pick whatever religion you want if you want to. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Pick whatever you want. As you can see, Christianity works for me. My Jesus action figure totally works for me. But like, but it doesn't matter. Just be kind to yourself. Show yourself some love. Pat yourself on the back for all the stuff you've been through, and be good to yourself. Love yourself, and then, you know, like love others. And that's it. I don't care what religion you are. I care about how you treat people. Okay, and then finally, Mel White is a really cool minister. I'm going to make a link to him below if you want to check out a talk he gave recently, a year or 2 ago. So I'll put a bunch of links below if you want to research this topic more. So that's pretty much it. I feel like I covered it all. I did, yeah. Okay, so Gabriel, thank you for your comment. You're super awesome. You're so sweet. As far as just, you were so sweet in your comment. I was blown away with how sweet you were. So thanks, Gabriel. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the Clobber Passages. I hope all of that made sense because it is like a tough thing to talk about. But yeah, I still love Jesus. And the churches I like are Lakeshore, Grace Cathedral in the San Francisco Bay Area, and City of Refuge is a predominantly African American church. LGBTQ African American church, and a couple of my friends go there. Hey everybody, I thought my roommate was coming home because I'm doing this in my living room, but he's not home yet. Okay, because a couple of things I wanted to say was, for sure, like if you're LGBTQ or if you're just like a human being in general, if you're gonna pick a church, I would say like if you go to a church, they're all going to be quoting Jesus because they're churches. But what I would say is be careful and look at the psychology of the church. Like, the biggest thing is this church good at amplifying love? Is this church good at being kind? Those are the 2 questions you want to ask yourself while you're like church shopping, trying to figure out what your church home is going to be. Those are the 2 most important things. They're all going to be quoting Jesus. And also make sure if you're LGBTQ, make sure they're LGBTQ affirming. And usually the ones that are affirming, they'll like they'll tell you, like, legit, here's how we are gay LGBTQ affirming. This is how long we've been LGBTQ affirming. There's also a denomination of churches called MCC, Metropolitan Community Church. That is a church started by LGBTQ people. It's just LGBTQ people. Straight people are totally welcome to attend, of course. But, yeah, MCC is basically started by LGBTQ people for LGBTQ people. So that's a safe space as far as, like, you're not gonna be dealing with homophobia because everyone there is gonna be gay or of some sort. So as you're church shopping, you just want to check to see, are they good at amplifying love? Are they kind? Those are your two things. That's where you want to be careful, because I did get okay, the other thing I want to say is that I had to deal with, I was in a situation, there was a little bit of nuance to the situation, but I went to a church where I became friends with a straight lady, and the friendship was weird, don't get me wrong, but like a week after my dad died, this lady tried to like hustle like $2,000 out of me. Like, it was very strange, under the guise of like tidy consultants or like cleaning or whatever. But it was strange, and she tried to do this like a week after my dad died. It was just a very strange situation. So she basically tried to hustle about $2,000 out of me, which I didn't have at the time. Like, anyway, whatever. So it was weird. So yeah, sometimes there's weird people. Oh, she was quoting Jesus the whole time she was doing it too. But the other thing that happened was, because she's straight, I talked to two of my friends who I considered my friends. I'd hung out with these people. I'd gone to parties with these people. I'd had dinner with these people. So there's two heterosexual people. I talked to them about it low-key, and they blamed the situation on me because I was gay and the lady was straight. And they even kind of made it out to be like the situation was my fault because I'm gay and the lady who tried to hustle me was straight. I made a really long video about that, but I guess what I want to say is, as a lesbian, basically, these two straight people who I consider my friends were looking at me like I was Frankenstein, like I was like the creature from the Black Lagoon, or like Swamp Thing. They're basically like, they couldn't see my humanity. Like, and I remember my screenwriting mentor saying, like, people like to be around people like them. So I think, like, I had to move. There's a church started by straight people, and it is, like, gay affirming, technically. But, I don't know. As a lesbian, I felt like a token there. I didn't feel comfortable there. And I should have left that church a long time ago. I really regret going to that church in the first place. But my point is, like, to LGBTQ people, like, you can't spin your wheels too much with homophobic people because, unfortunately, they can't see your humanity. And if they can't see your humanity, then how are you going to be friends with them? So I don't know about, like, and what I want to say is the three straight people who I met at this progressive church, but really it's not that progressive, but the three straight people, I considered all three of them my friends. So but they could not see my humanity. Like, I was Frankenstein or like a vampire to them. And I'm such a squeaky clean lesbian. So at one point I was waiting until marriage, or I guess celibate. I mean, which is weird. It's not bad, it's just weird, whatever. And then, like, I don't know. It's hard to figure it all out. But my only point is, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, it doesn't matter. Like, these three homophobic people, it doesn't matter how good I am. Like, it doesn't matter if I like save 1 million cats out of trees, so to speak. If I did, like, 1 million good deeds, it wouldn't matter. Like, these three people who I consider my friends, they're still going to be homophobic. They're still going to see me as the other. And that's extremely hurtful. Like, it hurts my feelings. Like, homophobia does hurt my feelings, because it's like, I was kind of shocked that these 3 straight, but one issue I had with this church that I went to is like people weren't very smart, I guess, and so they are not very smart people, you know. So anyway, I'm glad I moved on, but I stayed there way too long. There was some good things about it. I met a really cool lady named Liddy, and we're friends, and we talked through Instagram because she's from Brazil and she went back to Brazil, and she's like, you should come visit. I'll totally go visit. But my biggest thing with LGBTQ people is like, be careful, because some straight people are, so Jesus said, forgive them for they know not, Jesus said, forgive them for they know not what they do. And I'm going to interpret that in kind of a mean way. Well, here's what I'm going to say. Basically, like, sometimes people are idiots. That's not a nice thing to say. Or sometimes people are not smart. That's not a nice thing to say either. But basically, like, sometimes people just are sort of not smart, or they're basic is what I would say is. So sometimes people are basic and they're just homophobic. And so I think what I would say to LGBTQ people, please be careful. Like, don't be friends with like homophobic people. And being LGBTQ has nuance, because it has nuance, and a certain kind of dumb straight person, they're not going to understand the nuance and, you know, whatever. So, but I think it's just like I really got burnt, I really got hurt, and it totally sucks. And for sure, like, I forgive everybody, la la la, but it's just like I really got my feelings hurt by these horrible straight religious people, and I should have known better. But that's why I'm a little disillusioned with Christianity, because it doesn't matter how squeaky clean I am. It doesn't matter how like altruistic I try to be. Like, a certain kind of homophobic straight person, they're just gonna be very dedicated to like, you know, like hating gay people or seeing gay people as like other in a way that really hurts your feelings. So just be careful, I guess. Like, only hang out with people who can see the humanity in humans. Yeah, empathy requires a high level of emotional intelligence. And I have a new roommate who is a straight guy, and he grew up in the Philippines, and he understands the concept of basic human suffering because it's a universal thing. And because of that, not that I do this, but I don't have to go into these long monologues about the nuance of being LGBTQ or the nuance of how it's hard to like be a person. Like, he just understands that being a person is hard and human suffering is universal, and he can see my humanity. He can see and he doesn't even go to church. He can see my humanity more than those people, those mean straight people who I went to church with for like a couple of years. And it was a gay affirming church, and it was kind of like, the reason I went there is because I thought maybe I could like meet someone, like a gay lady. I could maybe meet a gay lady to date there, and I didn't. So, but I did meet, like I said, I met one cool person from that church, Liddy. Well, Liddy and Maria. I mean, there's a lot of good people who go to the church, but the leadership, I don't think so. So just be careful. Be careful if you're LGBTQ. Like, don't hang out with people who can't see your humanity, because you are a human. Okay, and the last thing I want to say is Grace Cathedral in San Francisco. They give the most badass punk rock sermons ever. Like, their sermons are so good. Okay, and I want to say something. Okay, so there's this guy, his name's Malcolm something, I'll put it here. And he gave a really good sermon. I showed it to my mom and my sister, and they're like, dang, that was a good sermon. Yeah. So I want to tell you this. Okay. So his sermon was, there's some city, I think Chicago, where, this was his Christmas sermon. So Malcolm something, he gave a really good sermon, and he talked about how there's some, oh, right. If you're not a Christian, like, don't worry about it. Like, take the word, I'm going to say the word Jesus, and that means something to me and like whatevs, but like, you know, substitute the word, if you're not Christian, substitute the word Jesus for like love or hope or optimism, like as far as the story I'm about to tell. Okay. But the poetry of the story, I'm going to use the word Jesus. Okay. So apparently in like maybe Chicago, there was all these, you know, mangers, because it was Christmas time, and it became kind of trendy in Chicago. I think it was Chicago, where people would steal Jesus out of the manger, little baby Jesus. They would steal baby Jesus out of the manger, and it became kind of a trend. So because of this trend, some people would like chain the baby Jesus into the manger so no one would like try to steal Jesus. Okay, so that's the story. And then this guy Malcolm, I'll link to the sermon below, but this minister Malcolm from Grace Cathedral in San Francisco, he said he tells that story, and then he says, and I'm quoting him, so now I'm going to say it, but if you're watching this, if you're a Christian who wants to be kind and loving to others, great. If you're LGBTQ, whoever you are. And this is why I still have my Jesus action figure. okay, or I still read the Bible. Okay, and I'm gay, and yeah, okay. But here's what he said. He said, don't let anyone steal Jesus from you. He's like, don't let Christianity steal Jesus from you. Don't let mean people steal Jesus from you. Don't let Christians steal Jesus from you. And I'm going to say, don't let dumb, stupid, horrible, mean, not all straight people, just some straight people, 3 who I was friends with. Okay, but don't let, and I forgive them, but don't let, dumb, ignorant, mean, a certain kind of mean, heterosexual, straight people, don't let them steal, Jesus from you, or don't let them steal, joy from you, or hope, or optimism, or steal Jesus from you. And what that means is, don't let people, if you can, don't let people steal your self-love from you. Or I like the metaphor, don't let anyone steal Jesus from you. And especially, and he says it, especially, don't let ministers steal Jesus from you. Don't let, like I said, mean little churches, don't let any of these people, any of these things, don't let them steal Jesus or joy or love or hope or optimism. Don't let people who use these 6 or 7 little Bible verses to just be mean, don't let those people steal your joy from you. So the most punk rock thing you could do as an LGBTQ person is to just be happy. Find your joy, heal your trauma, give yourself a lot of empathy and offer empathy to others, but don't let these clobber passages, don't let nobody steal Jesus from you or steal love, hope, optimism, goodness. There's good in the world. You're good. I'm good. Let's do good in the world. And that's the point of being alive, not being weird with the Bible. Okay, so be loving, kinding. Be loving and kind. That's the point of being alive. All right, thanks. I'm Julie. Thanks for watching. Check out my website. Y'all are the best. I love you.